this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Colorado is at it again, trying to silence free speech. A law in Colorado forces businesses to use customers' preferred pronouns, even if they're biologically inaccurate, and even if using those incorrect pronouns would violate a person's religious beliefs or conscience. That's a violation of free speech. But as Colorado has proved time and time again, it has little concern for the First Amendment. At Alliance Defending Freedom, they're challenging the law on behalf of a Christian bookstore and a Colorado-based sports apparel company. But a court recently ruled against them. With ADF's help, they appealed the ruling, and they'll continue fighting to ensure Colorado doesn't get away with this next attempt to skirt the First Amendment. Your gift helps protect free speech in cases like this all over the country. And for a limited time, your first gift to ADF is doubled by a special matching grant while funds last. Text RPA to 83848 or go to joinadf.com/RPA to have your gift doubled. Sponsored by Alliance Defending Freedom.
When you own your own business, you need to keep things moving. Need to book a last-minute flight? Earn a $300 travel credit to cover that. Need to take a meeting before takeoff? Do it from the comfort of the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Need to catch your breath before you board? Done. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, the business card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Based on the best-selling novel from Carly Fortune, the new Prime original series Every Year After follows Sam and Percy across 6 summers as they take a second chance at a love that never really let go. It's the kind of story that brings you back to a summer crush you never fully got over, or a friendship that almost turned into something more. With slow burn tension, lakeside nostalgia, and that lingering what if, it's the kind of show people say they couldn't stop watching and were a little emotionally destroyed by, in the best way. Watch Every Year After, streaming June 10th, only on Prime.
You ever wonder how far an EV can take you on one charge? Well, most people drive about 40 miles a day, which means you can do all daily stuff no problem. Go to work, grab the kids at school, get the groceries, and still have enough charge to visit your in-laws in the next county. But they don't need to know that. And the best part, you won't have to buy gas at all. The way forward is electric. Explore EVs that fit your life at electricforall.org.
This is Red Pilled America.
Why haven't you followed us on Twitter yet? Or Instagram and Facebook? Following us on social media is the easiest way to support the show, and it's free. Just visit redpilledamerica.com. Click on the social media icons at the bottom of the page, then give us a follow. And don't forget to visit our store by clicking shop at the top of redpilledamerica.com. We have hats, candles, beer mugs, t-shirts, a book, keychains, and a bunch of other things. You can even buy gift certificates for your friends and family.
And if you want to listen to Red Pilled America's newest episodes ad-free, become a Backstage subscriber. You'll get access to our entire archive of episodes. Just visit redpilledamerica.com and click join in the top menu. That's redpilledamerica.com and click join in the top menu. Now on with the show. Previously on Red Pilled America.
This Protestant movement had taken root throughout Europe and England. Religious leaders that resisted the Church of England's authority were either jailed or executed.
The small group of English separatists were under constant persecution.
The Mayflower only had room for 40 of the separatists. These separatists would come to be known as the Pilgrims.
They drafted and signed a document, the Mayflower Compact, agreeing to form a civil body politic that would create just and equal laws for the good of the colony.
20,000 Puritans leave England and flood into New England.
And almost all free citizens of this new United States left behind their countries of origin forever. I'm Patrick Corelchi.
And I'm Adriana Cortez.
And this is Red Pilled America, a storytelling show.
This is not another talk show covering the day's news. We're all about telling stories.
Stories Hollywood doesn't want you to hear.
Stories the media mocks. Stories about everyday Americans that the globalists ignore.
You can think of Red Pilled America as audio documentaries, and we promise only one thing: the truth. Welcome to Red Pilled America. As the American Revolution kicked off, the new nation had a serious problem. It had a hard time recruiting soldiers. Colonists like Jacob Coons had a lot to lose. Jacob was born in 1740 in the colony of Virginia, making him a subject of the English crown. If he joined the Virginia militia to fight against the British, he would be committing high treason, a crime punishable by a gruesome public death. Jacob had a wife and 7 kids at home. So if he went off and joined the American Revolution, his family would not only be losing his presence, but Jacob could also lose his head, literally. We're at part 3 of our series of episodes entitled, What's an American? We're looking for the answer to that question by taking a deep dive into the meaning of American citizenship. So to pick up where we left off, in part 2, we told the story of how Protestants from all over Europe migrated to the New World, leaving their countries of birth behind forever. They settled in the British colonies with no real way of returning to their homeland. By coming to America, the overwhelming majority either spent their entire net worth to pay for the trip or got their travels financed by capitalists looking to profit from trade in the New World. As a result, the settlers could not turn back. They had burned the boats behind them. Their entire lives were now in America. Fast forward to today, and not only can American citizens also be citizens of other foreign countries, but many refer to themselves with hyphenated labels, like Mexican American, Japanese American, Italian American, Jewish American, Irish American, and so on. After some research, I've learned that I'm eligible for multiple foreign citizenships. My paternal grandfather was born in Mexico City, my paternal grandmother in Durango, Mexico. On my mom's side, my nana was born in Ireland. It appears this makes me, theoretically, eligible for citizenship in both Mexico and Ireland, and I'm putting together the paperwork to test this theory, which we'll get to before the end of this series. But if true, it literally would make me both a Mexican American and an Irish American. How did this happen? How did this hyphenated American concept become so prevalent in the country? Well, to understand this phenomenon, we first need to grasp how citizenship in the United States of America developed. If you listen to today's so-called intellectuals, you'd think that the early days of American citizenship were based solely on racism, but that is a grotesque misrepresentation. The truth is, like other persecuted religious groups, the people of America were primarily concerned with their future survival.
Before the 1776 Declaration of Independence, the settlers of the American colonies were not citizens. They were subjects of the British Crown. The colonies were governed largely by English common law, which operated under a concept known as jus soli, or right of the soil, a feudal principle where anyone born within the king's domain owed natural and perpetual allegiance to the monarch in exchange for the crown's protection. Once you were born on the king's land, your allegiance could never be severed. A subject of the English crown could not voluntarily renounce being a subject or pledge loyalty to another sovereign. Under this doctrine, individuals were considered subjects forever. They were not citizens. This was the way of the British colonies in the New World, but the American Revolution would flip the table on this concept. The Declaration of Independence asserted the revolutionary idea that government derives its legitimacy from the consent of the governed. In essence, it was a complete rejection of the English doctrine of perpetual allegiance by birth. It declared the right of the American people to sever ties with the British Crown and form a new sovereign nation, effectively eliminating the jus soli right of the soil subject of the Crown relationship that was imposed on the colonist. The founders clearly stated this in the Declaration of Independence.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved.
The Founding Fathers were wiping the slate clean, creating something new. Contrary to the propaganda spread by historians, at its founding, the United States of America was not a nation of immigrants. It was founded by a nation of settlers. To be an immigrant, you must be traveling to an established land. These settlers were the ones establishing a new country. Declaring independence from the English crown was no small act. By signing the document, the founders were committing high treason against the crown, a crime punishable by what was called hanging, drawing, and quartering. It was a death of the most gruesome kind. Those sentenced to this capital punishment would first be tied to a wooden panel and dragged by a horse from prison to a place of execution. This was meant to publicly humiliate the traitor. The person was then hung by the neck, but were cut down right before dying. The goal was to inflict maximum pain while keeping them alive for what came next. Nearly dead, the condemned were cut open, and their intestines and genitals were removed and burned in front of them. This part symbolized ending the traitor's ability to reproduce, destroying the bloodline of treason. Only then was he beheaded. Once finally dead, the body was chopped into 4 parts, or quartered, and often displayed in different towns as a warning to others. This was the punishment American patriots faced by severing their subject relationship with the crown. The founders no doubt knew this, which is why Benjamin Franklin famously said,
"We must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly, we shall all hang separately."
This punishment was part of the English common law accepted in the American colonies. The signers of the Constitution were gentlemen that may have been given a more dignified execution, like just hanging, but there was no guarantee of mercy. The founders might have been spared such a gruesome death, but not soldiers like Jacob Coons.
Jacob was born in Virginia in 1740. His father migrated to America 3 years earlier from Meissen, a part of the Holy Roman Empire in what today is Germany. By being born in the British colony of Virginia, Jacob Coons was a subject of the English crown. So if he enlisted in the Patriots lost in the American Revolution, Jacob would not only have faced execution, but he would have left his wife and kids destitute. Yet with all that at risk, he decided to fight for citizenship. His allegiance was 100% with the United States. Jacob Coons would become a lieutenant in the American Revolution. He was my 4th great-grandfather. With the American Revolution underway, migration to the new United States of America collapsed. Transatlantic travel was dangerous. British naval blockades, privateers, and wartime chaos made ocean crossing extremely risky. And the war wasn't just dangerous physically, it was also unstable economically. As a result, most migration during the Revolution was either military, like British troops, or internal movement, people fleeing battle zones or moving to safer frontier areas. The only significant growth in the national population was through childbirth. The war dragged on for years, but in October 1781, American General George Washington and French General Rochambeau surrounded British General Cornwallis in Yorktown, Virginia. After weeks of siege, the British general had no way out. On October 19, 1781, he surrendered his entire army, about 7,000 British troops. After the defeat, British Prime Minister Lord North, who led Britain's war effort in the American colonies, lost political support. He was forced to resign. The British government lost the political will to continue. Yorktown was the last major battle. Peace talks began soon after General Cornwallis's surrender. The war was effectively over. On September 3, 1783, the American Revolution officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris.
In the immediate aftermath of the Revolution, post-war instability and a poor economy led to very slow immigration to this new country. So defining citizenship was not an immediate concern. and that was a welcome condition because the founders had a country to define. In 1787, the Constitutional Convention drafted the United States Constitution. It was ratified the following year. The Constitution did not define an American citizen. It only referred to "we the people" and "citizens of the United States." But it did create the United States Congress and stated that Congress shall, quote, "have power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization." So they went to work. Congress first passed the Bill of Rights and organized the federal court system. And then, 7 years after the end of the American Revolution, the first United States Congress turned to naturalization, because by then, the country was growing by leaps and bounds. Prior to 1790, each individual state had its own rules about who could become a citizen, and they varied wildly. Generally, most states considered free white men born in the U.S. to be citizens, but there was still white indentured servants that were not free and not given citizenship status. Several states naturalized foreigners easily, while others were very strict. Some free black people were considered citizens in a few northern states, like Massachusetts and Pennsylvania. States like Virginia and South Carolina were much stricter, heavily tying citizenship to race and property. And in the eyes of the Americans of the time, there was a reason for this strict approach. The country was made up overwhelmingly of white Protestants who remembered their religious persecution in Europe. They were concerned for their survival. We don't know the precise religious makeup of Americans in 1776. There were no surveys done like in modern times. However, there is one way to get a gauge of the religiosity of the country, and that's with an analysis of congregations present at the time of the nation's founding. According to a 1988 study entitled American Religion in 1776, A Statistical Portrait, 98.1% of the church congregations at the time of the country's birth were Protestant. A small 1.7% were Roman Catholic. Only 0.2% were Jewish. In other words, America was a Protestant nation, and for social cohesion and their own survival, they wanted to keep it that way. The Protestants of America no doubt still remembered the stories of their ancestors being persecuted, jailed, and worse, burned at the stake. Making the country safe for them and their children's children was a paramount priority. But the problem was, the country was growing. At the time of the ratification of the Constitution in 1788, there were roughly 3 million people in the United States. But in the first census of 1790, the population had grown to roughly 3.9 million, an almost 33% growth in just 2 years. Given the ancestral history of the settlers, a cultural anxiety was building. So, one of the first jobs of the first United States Congress, after ratifying the Constitution and Bill of Rights, was to handle naturalization. They wanted to define the American identity early by establishing a single federal standard to replace conflicting state rules. They mostly wanted to encourage the immigration of white European Protestants, and there was a reason for that. They wanted groups with the same beliefs and traditions as those that founded the nation. The result of this mission may on its surface look racial in effect, but the goal was to attract groups that fit in culturally. So they passed the Naturalization Act of 1790, which was the first federal statute defining eligibility for naturalized citizenship. It declared that any alien, being a free white person who had lived in the U.S. for at least 2 years, could become a naturalized citizen. The act required those looking to become citizens to not only declare loyalty to the U.S., but also renounce all foreign allegiances. Their loyalty had to be 100% with America. They deliberately excluded non-white people like Native Americans, Black people, Asians, as well as enslaved persons and white indentured servants. Historians have characterized the statute as racist in nature, but the Americans of the time wanted a functioning, peaceful society. They wanted immigrants seen as capable of adopting Republican values, meaning self-government, property ownership, and Protestant work ethic. and they thought that people that came from Northern and Western Protestant European countries as fitting that goal. But a few years after passing the first Naturalization Act, a crisis arose that caused Congress to tighten its naturalization requirements. All right, if you guys know anything about me, you know that I am crazy about my dogs. And let me tell you something. My English Bulldog Pablo had been suffering with the worst skin allergies. And then I started giving him rough greens in his food, and boy, what a difference that made. This stuff is amazing. Now Pablo is a Rough Greens dog for life. Rough Greens supports long-term health by providing live, bioavailable nutrients, including essential vitamins, minerals, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and omega oils. Rough Greens promotes longevity by addressing common nutritional deficiencies found in processed dog food. I don't just recommend Rough Greens, I depend on it to keep my dogs happy and healthy. Traditional dog food is shelf-stable for years because it's lifeless. Rough Greens brings the nutrition back, packed with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and omega oils. Rough Greens isn't dog food. It's a live nutritional supplement you add to your dog's food. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Rough Greens. It's that easy, and I promise you, you will not regret it. Don't change your dog's food, just add Rough Greens. Rough Greens is offering a free Jumpstart trial bag. You just cover shipping. Use discount code RPA to claim your free Jumpstart trial bag at roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com, promo code RPA. So don't change your dog's food, just add Rough Greens and watch the health benefits come alive.
Colorado is trying to silence free speech again. A state law forces businesses to use customers' preferred pronouns, even if they're biologically inaccurate. With the help of Alliance Defending Freedom, a Christian bookstore and a sports apparel company are challenging the law. But a court recently ruled against them. They appealed the ruling, and with the ADF's help, they'll keep fighting another attempt by Colorado to skirt the First Amendment. Learn more about how you can support free speech by texting RPA to 83848 or going to joinadf.com/RPA. Sponsored by Alliance Defending Freedom.
When you own your own business, you need to keep things moving. Need to book a last-minute flight? Earn a $300 travel credit to cover that. Need to take a meeting before takeoff? Do it from the comfort of the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Need to catch your breath before you board? Done. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, the business card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
You ever wonder how far an EV can take you on one charge? Well, most people drive about 40 miles a day, which means you can do all daily stuff no problem. Go to work, grab the kids at school, get the groceries, and still have enough charge to visit your in-laws in the next county. But they don't need to know that. And the best part, you won't have to buy gas at all. The way forward is electric. Explore EVs that fit your life at electricforall.org.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back to Red Pilled America. Inspired by the Americans, in 1789, the French embarked on their own revolution. At first, it looked much like the one that created the United States. They championed the ideas of liberty, natural rights, popular sovereignty, and government by consent. Like the Americans, the French commoners rejected the monarchy. Both were triggered by tax and economic grievances. Both wanted representation. But after its initial phase, the French Revolution took a much more radical turn. The people of France wanted not just to sever its relationship with the monarchy, they wanted to overthrow it and craft their own. Unlike the Protestant Americans, the French wanted religion to be suppressed. As a result, the violence associated with the French Revolution was not just between military forces. It was directed at the clergy and the monarchy. Revolutionaries seized church land, and mass purges and guillotine justice swept through the nation. In less than a year, thousands were guillotined, including nobles, clergy, political moderates, suspected counter-revolutionaries, and even former revolutionaries that fell out of favor. The radicals captured France's King Louis XVI and his queen Marie Antoinette. Both were beheaded. The country would ultimately devolve into a dictatorship. The leaders of the United States watched as this radical change overtook France, and the citizens of America became concerned. Many French and Haitian refugees fleeing the conflicts in their French territories started making their way to America, and some began to fear that they brought France's radical ideas with them. So Congress moved to strengthen the country's naturalization process. They passed the Naturalization Act of 1795, where they increased the required U.S. residency from 2 to 5 years. They invoked a waiting period by requiring applicants to declare their intent to become a citizen at least 3 years before naturalization. Congress strengthened the oath of allegiance, explicitly requiring all candidates to renounce any hereditary titles of nobility. And what has been remembered most from the act, they added a good moral character clause, which was designed to protect the Republic from foreign radicalism by ensuring immigrants were stable and loyal to the United States. The Naturalization Act of 1795 tightened and clarified citizenship requirements and ultimately standardized the naturalization process in the courts. There were some adjustments over the years that followed, but the overall structure remained the same. Free white persons of good moral character that resided in America for at least 5 years and renounced all foreign allegiances could become naturalized citizens. But the federal government had not yet addressed the question of birthright citizenship. How would the country treat those that were born in America to non-citizens? That question wouldn't be answered until after a crisis that helped ignite the Civil War. In 1856, one of the most consequential cases in American history reached the U.S. Supreme Court. A nearly 60-year-old black man named Dred Scott claimed he was a free man, and the highest court in America was asked to decide his fate. Dred Scott was born into slavery in Virginia around 1799. He was initially owned by a Virginian named Peter Blow. The Blow family would eventually move west, first to Alabama and then to Missouri, bringing Scott along with them. But around 1832, the slave owner died. Shortly after his death, the Blow family sold Dred Scott to a man named Dr. John Emerson, a U.S. Army surgeon. Emerson would eventually take Scott to Illinois, where slavery was prohibited, and then to Fort Snelling in Wisconsin Territory, also a free territory under the Missouri Compromise. While there, Dred Scott married an enslaved woman named Harriet Robinson, and the couple went on to have 2 daughters. In 1838, Dr. Emerson moved back to Missouri, a slave state, and brought the Scott family, which he owned, along with him. But in December 1843, Dr. John Emerson died. His widow, Irene Sanford, inherited the Scotts as part of her late husband's estate, and this is where the legal struggle began. Dred Scott reportedly tried to buy his and his family's freedom from Irene Sanford, but to Scott's horror, Emerson's widow declined to sell or free the Scotts. So in 1846, Dred and Harriet Scott sued the widow in Missouri State Court for their freedom, claiming that their time in free territories like Illinois and Wisconsin made them free citizens of the United States. The Missouri court ruled in their favor, but in a sad turn, Emerson's widow appealed the verdict all the way to the Missouri Supreme Court, which in 1852 reversed the lower court's decision, reinstating the Scotts' status as enslaved individuals. The case eventually made its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, but the Scots had a problem. You see, of the 9 Supreme Court justices, 7 were from slaveholding states or had pro-slavery leanings. And to make matters worse, the Chief Justice, Robert B. Taney, was himself a former slaveholder. Once the court decided to take the case, it expanded its scope, a bad sign for the abolitionist movement. The central question the court looked to address was this: was Dred Scott, a black man of African descent, a citizen of the United States, therefore entitled to sue in federal court? This was a threshold issue. If Scott was not a citizen, the court had no jurisdiction to even hear the case. In a shocking 7-2 decision, the court ultimately ruled that black people, free or enslaved, were not and could never be citizens, and thus had no standing to sue in federal court. And this is where the bias of the Supreme Court became glaringly obvious. If Dred Scott had no legal standing to sue, the Supreme Court's decision should have ended there. No other aspect of the case should have had merit because, according to the judges, the court had no jurisdiction over the case. But the judges in the majority were obviously looking to expand the interests of the slave states. At the time, trouble was brewing in America. The abolitionists of the North wanted an end to this so-called peculiar institution. The slaveholding South knew this and looked to use the friendly court in their favor. The court ultimately expanded on their decision, claiming that Dred Scott remained enslaved despite living on free soil. The court also found that Congress had no power to restrict slavery in the territories. But they didn't stop there. They held that enslaved people were constitutionally protected property under the Fifth Amendment, and therefore could not be taken from slaveholders without due process. This meant that slaveholders could bring their slaves into free territories, and courts would be bound to recognize their status as property. This potentially opened not only the free territories of Minnesota, Kansas, Nebraska, and the West to slavery, but also the long-established free states of the North as well. The decision denied blacks access to federal courts and cast doubt on whether they can legally own property, testify in court, or claim any constitutional protections whatsoever. In the wake of the decision, former slave and abolitionist Frederick Douglass expressed his concern over the Dred Scott decision.
This infamous decision of the slaveholding wing of the Supreme Court maintains that slaves are within the contemplation of the Constitution of the United States property, that slaves are property in the same sense that horses, sheep, and swine are property.
Douglass called the decision a direct assault on black liberty and dignity, but he also believed it would galvanize anti-slavery resistance.
You may close your Supreme Court against the black man's cry for justice, but you cannot, thank God, close against him the ear of a sympathizing world, nor shut up the court of heaven. All that is merciful and just, on earth and in heaven, will execrate and despise this edict of Taney.
The following year, a 48-year-old lawyer named Abraham Lincoln delivered a speech that came to be known as a House Divided.
I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I do not expect the Union to be dissolved. I do not expect the House to fall. But I do expect it will cease to be divided.
Lincoln feared that the Dred Scott ruling was part of a broader legal and political plan to make slavery legal nationwide, even in states that had long banned it.
Either the opponents of slavery will arrest the further spread of it and place it where the public mind shall rest in the belief that it is in course of ultimate extinction, or its advocates will push it forward till it shall become alike lawful in all the states, old as well as new, north as well as south.
The tragic 1857 Dred Scott decision was a sweeping win for the slaveholding South, and it ignited anger throughout the abolitionist movement. Likely due to the public outcry from the case, Emerson's widow eventually set Dred Scott and his family free. But the decision set the stage for a civil war in America, a war that would eventually force Congress to deal with the issue of birthright citizenship. Licorice, licorice, where art thou, licorice? If you listen to Red Pilled America, you know that I love licorice, and there is no licorice in America better than the delicious gourmet licorice made by the Licorice Guy. The Licorice Guy is simply the best. What sets their licorice apart is its flavor and freshness. They have a great selection of flavors to choose from, like red, blue raspberry, black, and green apple, just to name a few. The freshness of the Licorice Guy is unlike anything you've ever tasted in licorice before. Seriously, if you haven't tried licorice from the Licorice Guy yet, then you ain't living life right. Trust me, you will not regret it. It's time to dump that store-bought licorice that's so hard it'll break your teeth, and get yourself the soft, fresh stuff from the Licorice Guy. What I also love about the Licorice Guy is that it's an American family-owned business. It's made right here in the beautiful US of A. We are big proponents of buying American and supporting American workers. Right now, Red Pilled America listeners get 15% off when they enter RPA15 at checkout. Visit licoriceguy.com and enter RPA15 at checkout. That's licoriceguy.com. They ship daily. Treat yourself and those you love and taste the difference. Alliance Defending Freedom stands in courtrooms across the country to defend the freedoms our nation has cherished for 250 years. Life, free speech, religious freedom, parental rights. These freedoms aren't inherited, they belong to those who fight for them. ADF is approaching a critical fiscal year-end fundraising deadline. Your support helps ADF protect and defend these freedoms so they may endure for years to come. Every dollar you give will be doubled while matching funds last. Visit joinadf.com/RPA or text RPA to 83848 to give today. Sponsored by Alliance Defending Freedom.
When you own your own business, you own every decision.
Catch the red eye or take the 6 a.m.
Make a new hire or promote internally.
Celebrate a win with the toast at the gate or unwind at the lounge. Big props to this team.
Some decisions are a win-win, like earning 8 times points on Chase Travel. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, the business card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
You ever wonder how far an EV can take you on one charge? Well, most people drive about 40 miles a day, which means you can do all daily stuff no problem. Go to work, grab the kids at school, get the groceries, and still have enough charge to visit your in-laws in the next county. But they don't need to know that. And the best part, you won't have to buy gas at all. The way forward is electric. Explore EVs that fit your life at electricforall.org.
When I was diagnosed, all I wanted to do was get back to work. I wanted to get back to that trajectory that I was on prior to the cancer. I always felt like I had value, I had a place on the team. To just be treated with dignity, it means everything.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.
Do you want to hear Red Pilled America stories ad-free? Then become a Backstage subscriber. Just log on to redpilledamerica.com and click Join in the top menu. Join today and help us save America one story at a time. Welcome back to Red Pilled America. So by the time the Civil War erupted, the U.S. federal government did not have a military draft. Enlistment was purely voluntary. Both sides initially relied on patriotism, local pride, and peer pressure to fill their armies. But by early 1863, voluntary enlistments were plummeting, and with enormous casualties, both the Union and the Confederacy needed huge numbers of fresh soldiers to continue fighting. The Confederacy was the first to act. It passed the first conscription law in American history. It initially required all white men aged 18 to 35 to serve in the military. If it were to survive, the Union needed to act as well. So Congress began very serious deliberations over the question of who they could compel to take up arms for the nation. At the time, in addition to the people that had been living in America for generations, there were also a significant number of foreign-born residents. Congress discussed whether everyone residing in the North could be forced to enlist. But at the time, places like France and the German Confederation viewed the French and Germans residing in America as their subjects. These foreign powers claimed that the U.S. couldn't compel their subjects in America to fight in its Civil War. They may have been in America for a while, but because of perpetual allegiance, France and the German countries still considered them theirs. So Congress had to decide who was sufficiently American to be compelled to serve in the military. What they decided was to draft citizens as well as foreign-born immigrants who had filed what was then known as a Declaration of Intent to become a citizen. At the time, there was a very regimented way immigrants became citizens. Joe Smithenheimer went down to the local courthouse and swore under oath that they intended to become a loyal U.S. citizen and intended to sever all ties of allegiance to any foreign power. Then, after living in the U.S. continuously for 5 years, they could file a petition to become a naturalized citizen of the United States. So this is where Congress drew the line. It passed the Enrollment Act of 1863, requiring all able-bodied male citizens and immigrants who had filed a declaration of intent to become a citizen could be compelled to serve in the military. It was these people that the U.S. federal government felt were subject to its jurisdiction. They had already sworn an allegiance to America and couldn't claim that they were subjects of a foreign power because they'd already taken an oath. The Enrollment Act of 1863 was the first federal law in U.S. history that created a national military draft, and it would create the framework for citizenship in America.
After the North won the Civil War, Congress enacted the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, but it did not define American citizenship. With the Dred Scott decision still standing as precedent, millions of formerly enslaved people and their descendants hung in legal limbo. The challenge before Congress was clear: how to affirmatively undo Dred Scott and recognize Black Americans as full citizens. To some lawmakers, the decision was obvious. The Enrollment Act passed just a few years earlier, and it identified immigrants who'd sworn a loyal oath to the United States and intended to sever all ties of allegiance to a foreign power. Those were the people that were sufficiently American to fight and die for the country. Lawmakers like Senator Lyman Trumbull argued that it was illogical to deny citizenship to former slaves who had been in the United States for generations. He believed they had deep-rooted ties to the country. Trumbull emphasized that the U.S. had the authority to grant citizenship to those born under its jurisdiction, highlighting the absurdity of considering former slaves as subjects of a foreign nation. So Congress set out to draft the first civil rights law in U.S. history with this principle in mind. But the task was not easy. Congress was burdened with drafting language that would give birthright citizenship to formerly enslaved blacks without making the language so broad as to capture other people born in the United States that lacked full allegiance to the country. Senator Trumbull, who played a key role in drafting the act, eventually explained the evolution behind the language.
There's difficulty in framing the amendments so as to make citizens of all people born in the United States and who owe allegiance to it. But upon investigation, it was found that a sort of allegiance was due to the country from persons temporarily resident in, who we would have no right to make citizens, and that form would not answer.
What Trumbull was saying was that it was hard to write language that clearly grants citizenship to everyone born in America, but only if they truly owed allegiance to the United States and not to another country. He observed that some foreigners who are just visiting or temporarily living in the United States still owed a kind of temporary or limited allegiance simply by being under U.S. laws while here. But that didn't mean that Congress can or should make them citizens just because they gave birth on U.S. soil. He ultimately concluded that wording that captured temporary allegiance wouldn't work for defining citizenship because it would accidentally include people Congress didn't intend to include. Congress wanted to give birthright citizenship to people that had a true and full allegiance to the United States, not just anyone born here by chance while their foreign parents were temporarily in the country. And they certainly were not intending to give citizenship to people that entered illegally. Senator Trumbull was no legal lightweight. He was a respected legal mind of the time. Aside from being one of the primary drafters of the new Civil Rights Act, he was once an Illinois State Supreme Court justice. Congress put these concepts into the Civil Rights Act of 1866. It declared all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens. Congress passed the act over President Andrew Johnson's veto. It was the first formal legal definition of birthright citizenship in American history. The act did not simply adopt the English common law of jus soli, or right of the soil. It specifically rejected defining birthright citizenship solely on the person's place of birth. It explicitly excluded children of foreign diplomats, Native Americans under tribal authority, and individuals owing allegiance to foreign powers that were born on American soil. In short, Congress defined citizenship by allegiance, not just place of birth. The phrase, not subject to any foreign power, was understood to mean owing full and exclusive allegiance to the United States.
But with Reconstruction underway in the wake of the Civil War, lawmakers were concerned that once Southern states rejoined Congress, they could either repeal this Civil Rights Act or enact laws that would undo it. So Congress set out immediately to constitutionalize the act with the 14th Amendment. For the Citizenship Clause, the 14th Amendment declared, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. The change in language from the Civil Rights Act was not a shift in meaning. It was meant to clarify jurisdictional exclusions, especially concerning Native Americans. Lawmakers debated whether the Indians not taxed language of the Civil Rights Act might inadvertently include those who had left tribal life but were too poor to pay taxes. Congress did not want to give Indians citizenship. They felt their loyalties were in essence to a foreign power, that being their tribe. So to address this, Congress came up with the phrase, subject to jurisdiction thereof. In essence, it meant the same thing as not subject to any foreign power. Congress wanted the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment to require American citizens to have full allegiance to the United States, just as with the Civil Rights Act. In fact, Senator Revedy Johnson of Maryland affirmed this when he stated,
all that this amendment provides is that all persons born in the United States and not subject to some foreign power shall be considered as citizens of the United States.
With the 14th Amendment drafted, Congress approached the Southern states with a demand. To rejoin Congress, each had to abolish slavery, accept the legitimacy of federal authority, and ratify the 14th Amendment. On July 9, 1868, 3/4 of the states ratified it. Dred Scott was finally overruled. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 was constitutionalized and birthright citizenship was defined. It was clear citizenship was rooted in allegiance and jurisdiction, not merely birthplace. After nearly 100 years, birthright citizenship was defined in America. The country was on the road to healing. But then, an 1898 Supreme Court decision would give future open borders advocates the crack they needed to change the meaning of American citizenship.
Coming up on Red Pilled America.
The case, I think, thus presents squarely the issue of constitutional power of Congress in this area. Stated specifically, the issue is this: may Congress declare that a native-born American citizen shall forfeit that citizenship and be deported from the United States if he votes in a foreign political election or if he remains out of the United States to avoid military service.
Red Pilled America is an iHeartRadio original podcast. It's owned and produced by Patrick Harelchi and me, Adriana Cortez, for Informed Ventures. Now you can get ad-free access to our entire catalog of episodes by becoming a Backstage subscriber. To subscribe, just visit redpilledamerica.com and click Join in the top menu. Thanks for listening.
When you own your own business, you need to keep things moving. Need to book a last-minute flight? Earn a $300 travel credit to cover that. Need to take a meeting before takeoff? Do it from the comfort of the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Need to catch your breath before you board? Done. Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, the business card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
You ever wonder how far an EV can take you on one charge? Well, most people drive about 40 miles a day, which means you can do all daily stuff no problem. Go to work, grab the kids at school, get the groceries, and still have enough charge to visit your in-laws in the next county. But they don't need to know that. And the best part, you won't have to buy gas at all. The way forward is electric. Explore EVs that fit your life at electricforall.org.
I need to be healthy every day to survive it and go through the next chemo round and the next chemo round. So it's important that work was part of that, to keep my mind busy for 8-9 hours. And then I had to go back and face the reality. I had a goal, and the goal is to survive.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.
This episode sponsored by Codecademy. Your job is changing fast. New tools, new expectations, and real pressure to keep up. This isn't a someday problem. It's happening right now. That's where Codecademy comes in. Instead of just watching or reading, you learn by doing. From your very first lesson, you're writing real code directly in your browser. No setup, no guesswork. Whether it's AI tools, prompt engineering, data analysis, or cybersecurity, Codecademy shows you exactly what to learn and gives you a clear, step-by-step path to get there. So you're not just keeping up with tech, you're actually getting ahead. With structured career paths and real-world projects, you'll build skills you can use immediately on the job. Join millions of people already leveling up with Codecademy. Start your free trial today at codecademy.com.